We're live! Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast. I'm Kris, joined by my brothers, Adam and Eric, and we are in a digital room, back in the room, to talk more about video games. First of all, how's everyone getting on in isolation?
It's a lot. Yeah, it's okay, actually.
The game, like Alien Isolation. Fucking scary.
I don't like it, man.
No.
But it has given me a lot more time to catch up on, like, my
video games?
my backlog.
Yeah. I've been playing a lot more games and getting through games a lot quicker than I would have been originally. And some games where I thought, oh, that'll do me for the next month. Not so much. Like getting through games really quickly.
There's nothing more healthy for the gaming soul than isolation.
That sounded beautiful. That's kind of like poetry.
So it's just to clarify, if there is any kind of hiccups tech-wise in this, it's just because due to the situation, we do have to do this remotely over Skype. So we're bound to get some sort of dropouts or audio cut now. It's just the nature of the game, but we'll do our best.
Yeah. So the sound might be slightly different, and the energy might be slightly different. Because we used to like record in bulk, and so we had a few episodes done before the lockdown, and they've all been coming out. But this is actually the first one we've been doing since the lockdown, on our new topics. So as a result, we're not actually in the same room, but we are back in the room. So to celebrate the kind of recent launch of Final Fantasy VII Remake, which was one of our more highly anticipated games this year, and we've all been playing it, and we won't get into that, but to celebrate it, we're going to go back quite a bit to give our take and to discuss the original, the PS1 1997 classic JRPG Final Fantasy VII. It gives me great pleasure to talk about this game because it is my absolute favorite game of all time. And so I have loads to say about it. But I know the lads do too.
And I'm here to listen.
And we're just going to listen to what you have to say, Kris. But just before we get into it, I suppose it's important to say, for a certain portion of this, so we did this as well on The Last of Us, and I think we might have done it for a couple of other games, depending on what they are. For a certain portion of this, we are going to discuss it spoiler-free, okay? So that's just sort of, what I mean by that is like your general take on the game, maybe just like the gameplay mechanics, that kind of stuff, the music, like you're not spoiling plot details, and then we'll get to a point, because we really want to be able to discuss it without like holding ourselves back. We will get to a point where we will say, okay, spoilers from now on, so that we can go into more detail because I feel personally the beating heart of this game is its story, its narrative. And so to not talk about that stuff is kind of to do a disservice to actually talk about it at all. The reason I say we will alarm you about spoilers is because this is an old game, and a lot of people have played it, and a lot of people are very familiar with it, but some people may not have. And even if they don't care about this original game, they might be excited about this remake series. And so the stuff that we're going to be talking about might actually spoil the remake. You know what I mean? And the games to come. Like, obviously, the first part of the remake is only Midgar, but there's a lot more to come. So we will give a warning when we're going into spoilers, just in case someone doesn't want to hear that stuff. But if you have played the original, then without further ado, let's mosey. So, first, let's just start with like general impressions of the game. What do you think of the game? Like I've already said, it's my favorite. It's my favorite game, not just my favorite JRPG. It's my favorite game of all time.
It's actually the first RPG that we've ever had.
Yeah.
I remember getting it. It was a birthday present, I believe.
That's right.
And I remember throwing it in and playing it. And I was just like, what is this? You know, because it's the first game that I've ever played that's like turn-based. You know, you select or whatever. I don't even think I played Pokemon at that point either. Can't really remember. Because obviously it's very similar in terms of its mechanic, like the combat.
Well, I actually always found it funny, just before moving on that note, because I remember I was like a big advocate for Final Fantasy VII when in primary school. And I was trying to, like, I was telling everyone, oh, you need to play this game. It's amazing, right? And everyone was basically like, shit, man. You just stand there like, oh, choose your attack. What are you waiting for? Right? But they were all playing Pokemon. And I was like,
yeah,
it's the same thing. And they were like, no, Pokemon's good, man. Like, they wouldn't give Final Fantasy VII a chance.
Yeah, but to this day, you get that kind of argument. It's like, it's like, oh, it's not much of a game because you just press play button, basically. But it's like, yeah, but the Telltale games have that type of interaction, you know? But yeah, in terms of its mechanics, like, Pokemon is exactly the same. It's all elemental damage.
Yeah,
basically.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Nah, man, it's different, like.
But I remember, like, because that was the first of that type of game I've ever played, I hadn't had a clue. Just, like, all I know is just hit attack, and that's all you do.
It took a very long time to equip a potion.
It took ages to do anything in that game, because I just did not know how it worked.
Yeah.
And...
Because the original doesn't tell you really how to...
No, it does. No, it actually does. The whole game tells you exactly how to play it. But do you think,
like, it does? Okay,
think little me is going to read?
Yeah, like the game does not say here's how to equip a potion, but like you have a drop-down menu and your options are like attack, and then below it, magic, and then below it like items.
Oh yeah, I know that. But
it's like if you don't scroll down, like, okay, so it doesn't tell you to equip an item, but like you should try. You should try have a look at your items.
Yeah, well, I think like, as well as that, because I mean the game, is it 15s, I believe.
No,
it's like 7 plus.
7 plus, which will be
7 plus is the original game,
and we will address that.
Because it should not be.
Which is why, like, so many kids bought that game. 7 plus, right? I reckon back in the day, people who used to decide the age rating on these things. They definitely didn't play it. They definitely just looked at the little polygons and went, yeah, it looks like it's for kids.
Yeah, because I just thought that, like, the mechanics of it, because I definitely would have been probably 9, I'd say, when I first played it. But, yeah, I found it pretty difficult to just get my head around how the thing works. The Scorpion Guard at the beginning, like...
Unreal.
I became very familiar with that fight because I could never really get past it for years, like, because I just did not know how to play this game. So I was just kind of off playing other stuff, and I didn't really quite get the importance of that game. Like, I had this game in my library, and I didn't realize in the greater world that, you know, everyone was freaking out about this game until I think we moved house. We moved from the countryside into town.
That's right.
Made friends with one of my long-term best friends now, and he kind of reintroduced me into the game and said, "You have to complete that game." He says it's the greatest game of all time. I was like, "Really?" So he talked me through defeat the Scorpion Guard. So I was like, But he only told me how to do potions.
But that's all you need. You know, you heal yourself.
To that point, that's all you need, right? But then later on, there's other stuff.
Oh, yeah.
There are major mechanics.
And
major mechanics that I completely just did not have a clue about. So until I got stuck at another point.
Like equipping materia.
I mean, the PlayStation 2 was out by the time I saw the end of that game.
Yeah. How about you, Eric? General impressions of the game?
Oh, it was great. Like, it was great way to keep shape. I do think, though, right, when talking about the gameplay mechanics, like, it's fairly simple if you just kind of start scrolling through stuff, like, and they do tell you how to equip materia in the game. I do know they tell you that.
They do, and
if you bother read, because there's no voice acting in this. It's just all text box.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of like an interactive book.
Yes.
In a way, very much like those those adventure books where they used to like read them and you'd like roll a dice to decide your own attacks and stuff.
The lone wolf
and all those.
Yeah.
Or it's like, depending on the choice you made, turn the page, whatever. It works kind of like one of those in a way, in that you are interacting with the book and you're doing battles and stuff. But like,
I think what's really nice about Final Fantasy 7 is that it's such a like breath of fresh air, I suppose, in terms of it's a fantasy game. It comes of the genre like D&D. I mean, D&D would be the reasons why these types of games exist.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
but it's cyberpunk. It's based in like a kind of a futuristic world almost, with fantasy elements in it. It's so different than any other fantasy you'd ever play.
Yeah, I was like, so yeah, let's talk about the setting. Exactly what you just said. Like, it's so we'll move on.
No, but its setting lives up today. Like a lot of its different themes and problems that the setting sets up are things that we face today. It's like,
actually, on the theme of it, or at least the plot from the beginning, right from the get-go, the first thing you're set up with. So, and it's on the back of the case even. Like, being this mercenary taking on this company who are bleeding the planet of resources, that is more relevant today.
Yeah,
the game is actually ahead of its time. It's more relevant today. It's in a similar way as like if you go back and play the Metal Gear Solid games, they become like MGS2. I remember at the time just seemed like this aloof kind of crazy idea, and then like a few years later became incredibly relevant. Like everyone. Like it's like the Patriots is social media. Like we are in the system now.
Yeah.
And in a similar way, like Final Fantasy VII's plot has actually become even more relevant today.
And even the idea that like the Shinra company owns the world, which kind of is very much like today, that companies have more power than governments.
Well, it's certainly like a monopoly over governments. Yeah, it's interesting. There's like a minor character in the original game, I was talking to Eric about it the other day. He's like the mayor of Midgar, and he's in this little office. But he you can't miss him. You have to go talk to him. But you can miss the significance of that, in that he's actually the political figurehead of Midgar,
which is the capital city of the world, for anyone who doesn't know.
But he has no power. Like, he is totally a puppet, or like a figurehead. And the Shinra Electric Power Company like rule the world. But they're just a company. Like, they're not like, so like, because I remember when I was younger, I used to get a little bit confused. I always thought, like, when I heard every time they talked about the president, or they said President Shinra, I thought he was like much like a US president. Like, I thought he was like a government president. Mm-hmm. I kind of missed the fact that he's actually just like a CEO.
Yeah.
But he like runs the world, and he's so
Mark
interesting. In a way, kind of, yeah.
What I love about it is that that section, like the way it opens up, is a company that's using up the world's resources. It's killing the planet in order to give people, I suppose, electricity, power, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So you're wanting to bring this company down to try and save the planet, essentially. And how small, how insignificant, even though that's like a huge section of the game, or at least towards the beginning of the game, it's a huge section. Like that plot is actually so insignificant to the rest of the like plot in the game.
Oh yeah.
Like the amount that's in this, like it rivals Final Fantasy, or it rivals The Lord of the Rings in terms of the amount of content that's in it.
Yeah, and it just seems to get bigger and bigger as it goes, and
it's like there's a whole world there to explore or something. Like, this is so big.
Yeah, and what I love as well is like, because what you realize as the game goes on is that the Midgar section of the original game is essentially a tutorial.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's essentially an opportunity to get to know how magic works, how battles work, how boss fights work, all that stuff, all the little mechanics you need to know before they open you out to this larger world, right?
Unless you're me.
Unless you're you, and it's the whole game for a few years. And but so it's essentially the tutorial of the game, but it's not. It's also like incredibly story driven, and it sets up the story, and there's a lot going on in it, and it's not just like so. Nothing in this game is done for the sake of just like. So it's kind of like the gameplay is always serving the story, and the story is also serving the gameplay. Like it's so well written.
Yeah.
I've heard people complain about the writing of this game, and I don't get it, because I think it's a masterpiece in game writing. Like, and I'll go into that more when we get into spoilers and stuff. But I think it's so well told. Like even like, so your first fight, like, or the game opens with this beautiful, very proud kind of opening. Like, let's show you this city, let's show you this big map, let's show you this music, let's like give it like a movie production quality. And then straight into a fight, like straight into the action. Yeah. And slowly, as the action's going, you're finding out what you're doing. Like, it's not one of those, like, there's a lot of fucking RPGs, excuse the F-bomb, that, but there's a lot where your first mission will be something like, oh, could you, like, help me get some items? And could you go kill the rats down in the sewers? Like, I've played a lot like that, where, like, it takes a long time to actually kick up. And this game kicks you into the action straight away.
I think every game needs to kind of follow, and a lot do follow, but in Final Fantasy's sense, where it start off with a big thing, and then give you the small stuff, but always have that big thing there in the background that you will be going back to.
Yeah.
You know, just because then it really kicks off the story and the interest if you start off with a big event.
Yeah, I think
like.
So.
Thinking, even if we take Skyrim, for instance, because it starts off with the Stormcloaks and the Imperials, and Alduin comes along, and it's a big event, and then you go into the side quests.
Yes, exactly. So like you set like the stakes first, get the player invested, and then let them explore the world.
That's what I mean. I mean, even the stakes at the beginning, although incredibly high, is so insignificant to what's actually the threat.
Yeah,
and I think that's what's really great about it, because as a player, you're kind of like, yeah, I totally get why I need to stop these guys. These guys seem really evil. What they're doing is horrendous. What they have been doing throughout the entire Midgar chapter is horrendous. And yet, after that, they're just I suppose, a ripple in the pond, I suppose. Like, they're
more like a thorn in your side rather than a...
They become, yeah. But I suppose they are the cause, or they're the root of the overall plot, really. You know, like without them, none of the rest of this would happen. Let's talk about the characters, because that's what it, like, we don't have to spoil anything, but just in general, like your main cast of characters, your main party, because like every RPG usually has tries to have an interesting cast of characters. Some of them do.
Every RPG should have a good cast of characters.
Yeah,
that's the main aim that an RPG should have.
So what do we think about this party?
Yeah, out of the the handful of Final Fantasy games I've played, Cloud is definitely the most bearable, because he's a really cool character. But compared to some protagonists in Final Fantasy, I don't know what it is that they always have to have like these. They're so annoying. Like Titus is so annoying.
Titus.
Van is so annoying.
Van is the most. Supposedly, he's not the main character of that story. All right, but why
plays him?
Fuck, did I have to play as him?
Yeah.
Like, why couldn't he just not be in it? He put me off playing that game, actually. It's just terrible.
Yeah.
But it does, like, that's an important thing. Like, if you don't like the protagonist you're playing as, like, a lot of people hate or gave MGS2 a lot of stink, even though the game is amazing, purely because they don't like Raiden. Like, it's hard to play as a character you just don't like.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty pivotal to get your protagonist right first.
And even like, although I don't mind Nero, there's the same with Devil May Cry 4, where people are just like, I just don't want to play as anyone that's not Dante. Yeah.
I mean, and that's a weird one, because I actually prefer Nero, but But yeah, I know. I suppose Dante is the main character of the series. So, but yeah, Cloud is
annoying. So
Cloud is awesome. You know, like the second it opens up, like he does this. I know it's all done at polygons, but when you're younger and you haven't seen much else, and your imagination. So he like does a front flip off the train, looks up, like he does a hero's look kind of thing. You know, he's like so badass. He's straight into a fight. He's got this huge sword that you've never seen the likes of before. And is at every point is just like, you know, I don't care and I'm too cool, and then later on you get more and more layers from the character that, you know, so he starts off as really cool.
Like, I mean, you think you know him, but there's so much to him as well, which is great.
And we will get into that.
When you think you know a guy like him, he just pulls out another card. What's he doing?
Wait a second, he's not a polygon. What about the rest of the cast? I mean the overall game now, just your main playable characters.
The guys you play as. I like all of the one I never really liked.
we have to address the cat in the room.
Oh yeah, a cat's it. I for some reason what? No, it's not what I meant, because for some reason I just avoid that character altogether. You know what I mean? I've never ever actually played as him.
Yeah.
Except for that like one fight where
points where they make you do it. Yeah.
But apart from that, I never used the character, so therefore I don't really care and don't even count. He's like, I don't even count him part of the crew. You know, like even some of the optional characters are more part of the crew than him.
It's so strange that
the one character that you do have to play as, and he's fine. I mean, his backstory is kind of cool, but just overall, he's just a little like Barrett. I just think he's a bit, I don't know, clown-like in many ways. I just think there could be a lot more to him. I just think even in like the compilation games, or not games, but like Advent Children, even he's a bit clown-like.
I don't like his portrayal in Advent Children.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of stuff about Advent Children I don't like. But yeah. I don't.
But I don't think that like I think that even in that they did capture all the characters really, really well.
Except Red 13.
Well, yeah, except for that one voice actor, but the way the character goes on is fine. Like Red 13 is actually fine in it. It's just the voice actor's not good. But just how Barrett goes on, he's kind of. He's
Mr. T, right? He's like
that's what it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He is, and like in fairness, in the original, he is bombastic, and he's comic relief for quite a lot of the game.
With all the cursing and everything.
Yeah, but even like, you know, he says dumb stuff, and he's trying to be the leader, and they show many times that he's kind of incompetent as a leader, and the rest of the party end up saying maybe Cloud should lead us, and he's like, what? But I'm the leader. You know, and even later on, there's another point where you get to choose another character as a leader. Well, you don't get to choose the party you're trying to. Yeah. And he again puts his hand up to say, I should be the leader, and they give it to Sid. You know? Yeah. And Sid doesn't even want to do it, but they give it to Sid because he's been a captain and stuff. But
it's just the one character that I think doesn't have as interesting as a story arc as everyone else in it. Actually, Yuffie is.
I think Barrett has a great story arc. I think it's really good.
I don't think he really changes. Like, I mean, he's got a really cool backstory, but I don't think as a
great backstory.
Yeah,
there's a scene towards the end of the game. So again, I'll talk about it later. But it's where Barrett has a moment, and you kind of realize he has come a long way. But I could see why someone wouldn't like him either. I quite like him. I think he's a good character.
Yeah, but everyone else in it, I think, is like Tifa's probably one of the coolest characters in it.
Tifa's great.
I love Vincent. Is probably my favorite.
Vincent's hard not to like, isn't he? And when you get some of Vincent's backstory within the game as well, you always have to wonder. You're like, why is he optional? Yeah, why is he optional, and why can't it not? You have to wonder. You're like, what the fuck? What do you think of the characters, Eric?
I think when you play other Final Fantasy games, they're a pretty damn good set of characters. Because when you're playing 15, and you're like, why am I stuck with these three guys, and none of them are anything like the guys from 7 or 10. It's so when you play others, 7's pretty fucking good for characters.
Yeah, well, it's a diverse cast. And
13 and 12 aren't even that great. I think 13 has better ones than 12, but even none of them are actually as good as 7.
Yeah.
No. Well, no, I don't think so.
I know Katzit's annoying
as well.
Yeah, I know Katzit's annoying and he's stupid looking, but at least he does have a plot mechanic. He is relatively important, and he has something to him.
He as a character in your party represents a certain personality that's in the game that, whether people like it or not, as dark and as serious as the game is, there is a lot of silly, weird shit.
Yeah.
And Katzit absolutely represents that aspect of the game. There is a lot of silly, weird shit.
Yeah. everything in it is top notch stuff.
And we
Nothing
will
silly.
definitely talk about the silly, weird shit. The game is fucking weird. As cool as it all is, there is definitely some stuff that's okay, well, now I'm reenacting a play for everyone, and Cloud is spinning around as a prince, and what the fuck is going on? So yeah. But anyway, the music
can't get better.
That's it. Job done. Moving on.
Job done. Move on.
Welcome to Quick Reviews. What's the cast like? Great. Better. Music. Excellent. Move on. The fights pretty good.
But again, it's another example of where games should look at this when they're doing a score, where every time you go to a new location, it has its own theme music to tell you what kind of location this is.
I think that's the beauty of the music in Final Fantasy VII is that the only way they could really tell you, because there's no voice acting, the graphics are very limited, the only way they could give you a sense of the specific characters or the locations you're in is to tell it through its score. Now, we do see that in other RPGs. We get that in the likes of Skyrim, or just the Elder Scrolls in general, and obviously other Final Fantasy games. It's not as essential in every game, I would say. Because you're not trying to tell the same type of story. Yeah. So something like The Last of Us, for example, would have a very specific
minimalist
theme going through it. So therefore, it wouldn't make sense that every time you go to another location, it would have a different music score. Whereas in this is incredibly important because you're traveling across a globe essentially. So the different locations you're going to go to is going to have a different feel, and they tell it through music. So the music is probably the most important aspect of storytelling in that game, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're looking at, it's so weird that you go into this reactor at the start of the game, you've got all these polygons, everything looks ridiculous, and yet you have this dark, foreboding music with bells and chimes and weird synthesizers, and you absolutely just buy that this is a very serious game. You don't go, this looks shit. You just buy into it absolutely that this is so serious. And I think without that music, you probably wouldn't. It's amazing that every piece of music or most of the music game becomes instantly iconic.
And obviously they had a lot more to work with because this is the first Final Fantasy to be on a CD.
That's right.
In fact, multiple CDs. So they had a lot more room to, expand not only graphics and cutscenes and areas, but also the sound and music. They had a lot more space on those discs to actually explore higher quality music than they could have done in previous games.
And Nobuo Uematsu is he's like John Williams of video games
world.
But he just because as well he's done it with other Final Fantasies. He just writes iconic music every time. And it sets mood and it creates character. And yeah, you're right. Because there's no voice acting, depending on what the music is like at a certain point, will determine how you read the dialogue. Do you know? So if the music is like loud and energetic, you might read the dialogue like fast and like in your head maybe you're reading it loud or something. And then if it's like real quiet and dark, suddenly the characters are whispering or they're afraid or something. You know, so like without that music, you're really not getting the mood of the story. He captures it so well.
Yeah, I think that's probably another point to praise the game with is, like, even with now I'm not going to talk about the remake, but in the remake, like demo, even if you play that, the way the actors deliver the lines in that is exactly how I am. Well, not exactly, but pretty much how I imagined they would be saying it. And you kind of have to ask yourself, like, well, how is it that we all came to the same kind of, like, at this moment they're being like friendly, or at that moment they're being kind of serious, and this moment they're being loud. And it's obviously true, not just the music, but because all the dialogue in it is done through text. If the text is kind of typing out on the screen really, really quickly, then they're kind of like almost like cheerful and stuff. And if it's coming out really slow, it's like they're being really serious. And if it's in caps, they're being really, really loud. But the music helps reinforce like how they're saying it as well, which is phenomenal. Really, it's like how did they come to that?
Well, it's so weird that, just like you're saying, like I remember watching Advent Children, the movie sequel to this game, and go like I loved the way Cloud was portrayed in it, but I do remember like thinking, I wish I hope when they're doing the remake that they go back to Cloud how he originally was, because he's not like that in the start of Final Fantasy VII, right? And it's so weird that like, because all he does, it's just text talk and stuff. And it's so weird that having, like, after playing the demo of Final Fantasy VII Remake, I was like, oh, they got Cloud spot on. That's, you know, it's like, who am I to say how he said those lines? But I was like, they have him spot. That is like, that's exactly what I was talking about. Yeah, like, he is not interested. Like, I was so
That's exactly
happy.
how he said it in the original.
That's his voice. Like, but I was so happy with how they portrayed Cloud. Like, and the music and the text and all that stuff helps capture the mood of the characters. Do you guys have a favorite piece of music from the game? This is difficult.
The
battle team.
Mm-hmm.
The main battle team or the boss team?
Boss team.
The boss team. Because I actually prefer the main battle team to the boss team. Even though like the boss team does get you pumped up, but I think if I had to hear that as much as the battle team, I think I'd rather hear the battle team more.
I mean, you could obviously say like One Winged Angel, but I think as cool as it is, it's nowhere near as cool as the Advent Children version.
No, yeah, and that's true. And
I just feel like the both the battle team and the boss battle team
hold up.
They're really, really good regardless.
Yeah. Eric, have you got a favorite piece of music?
I was going to say Cosmo Canyon. There's nothing smells like when you go in there. It's like I know exactly what this location is like. I know what it looks like. If it was not polygons, I know that this is some Texas-looking Native American landscape. It's great.
But did you know that Bugenhagen was not floating on a medicine ball? Because I didn't.
Yeah, what is he doing?
He is floating, but his legs
are crossed. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, so he just.
I thought he was on a ball.
I thought he was on a little ball as well, but I think I saw some artwork. Yeah, where his legs are folded. Why does he float?
Yeah,
it's supposed to be like kind of a those like yoga poses kind of a thing, and
he has reached an inner chi kind of thing or something. Is it?
I'll be interested to see how to do it in the remake, but
I can't wait to see Bugenhagen and all these strange characters. I can't wait to hear how it's pronounced.
Oh yeah,
like it's funny that's what all these voice acting things do now. Like we used to.
Same with is it Katsit or Katesit? Like
or Kate She. Some people say Kate She.
Oh, it could be because it's Scottish. So
it's Scottish.
Yeah, it's whatever way the Scottish pronounce it, really.
Well, I suppose it's whatever way the creators.
Yeah, but the Scottish people would have been the creators of the name.
No, but in this game, they've
definitely, changed some pronunciations of things anyway.
I always find it so interesting that with Final Fantasy, they rarely ever use their own country. to fill their lore. They always go to Europe and Norse specifically.
Well, on a side note, we'll go back to 7, but that's one of the interesting things about Final Fantasy X was I can't remember who was the main writer behind it, but I remember reading about it. He was saying that he didn't want to do, like, typically a fantasy is, yes, as you said, Eric, it's kind of based on like European high fantasy or Norse mythology and all this stuff, right? Much like the Disney stories and all these, like where all these, or D&D, where all this fantasy stuff comes from. And he wanted to specifically make a fantasy based purely on Asian culture, which is why, so it's like Final Fantasy X has a setting of like the Philippines and Indonesia and all these kind of islands.
Yeah.
And it was specifically to say, because he was trying to challenge it, he was going, a fantasy does not have to be what people think it is. And much like 7, actually, a fantasy does not have to be a medieval setting. Like, it doesn't, to be a fantasy, that's not its qualifying factor, you know?
And those two did a very good job at making it work. Those different tropes, like going against the norm, they actually made it work.
Yeah, I think so. Very much so. Yeah.
What was your favorite music? You said it. You said it. The battle theme.
No, I just said I prefer the battle. The battle theme is up there, but I think probably the main theme. To be honest, when you're on the world map and you're walking around, every time it comes up, especially that like it takes a little bit of a build up, but that main bit that comes in is kind of like violins or strings or whatever. Every time I hear that and I'm walking around, I'm just like, I want to be here. Like, in reality, probably not, because it's a horrible place, but
horrible world,
messed up place.
Everything there wants to kill you.
Yeah, but I think that piece of music, I love it. I think it's amazing. But there's loads of great music in it. It's unreal.
When it comes to gameplay, actually, of the original, I kind of that went weird. Yeah, no, the screen on my computer went weird. Anyway,
screen is trying to tell you to shut up. No,
I do think that the turn base is better than time based, because I know the original is time based.
Yeah.
And I find sometimes you could be there for quite a while, and the enemies have gotten like 2 or 3 attacks on you before you even get to have one. But I think turn based is a lot more fair.
What are you doing? Just like sitting there going, what will I do next?
Yeah, no, what's happening is you're flicking through your really long items list later on in the game, and you're going, where the fuck is that turbo ether?
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm just waiting to even use the turbo ether. Like, you know, because obviously your time bar, you have... Yeah, it's... So when you're looking at the original game, you have the blue box, and it has your character's name with the HP and MP, and then you have this little time box, and it's filling up. And that's when you can do something in it, when you can do anything. But the enemies, of course, have the same thing. And their one seems to always, like, fill faster or something like that than yours. So they're able to get, like, multiple attacks in on you.
I think it depends on the enemy, because like there's something to do with like.
And also, you can always throw slow on them, so you can help yourself.
Yeah, man, use the buffs and debuffs, will you?
No,
it's all about tactics, man. You do have to be quick on your feet though playing this game. Like early on, it's quite a cakewalk.
Yeah.
But when it opens up, it's like some of the bosses will like mess you up, and some of the regular just difficult enemies will mess you up if you don't think fast and grind up
walking cactus.
Sir.
Yeah. Walking cactus just kills you with needles.
Stop calling it walking cactus.
I gotta describe it to the people who've never played the game.
Oh, right.
It looks like a walking. It's called.
What in terms of gameplay, actually, and then we can go into spoilers, because we have talked about quite a lot of the general stuff, but the mini games, there's a few mini games in it, or there's a few parts in the game where the normal gameplay is suspended and you're doing something else. Did any of them work for you?
Well, I've always amazed at,
you remember them?
Like, what were they thinking? Like, it's like, oh yeah, we've got this big ass game with all these mechanics in it. You know what else this needs? More games inside the game.
Yeah.
It's like, it's almost like they must have written this how like Family Guy is written or something, where they just have like a bunch of shit thrown into a hat and they just pull it out and kind of go, oh yeah, sure, look, we'll put a submarine game in there. We'll put a motorbike game in there. We'll put a squatting match in there. Sure, it'd be fun.
It'd be great, man. I applaud them for doing it. Like, for adding even more stuff to what was already a very expansive game, and for taking moments that, and some of them are like the motorbike one, for example, is actually like a big story moment as well as a mini game. So like, and it only happens once, so it's a little unique moment that you get that is memorable. Like, everyone remembers that if they've played it, they remember that distinct moment.
Yeah,
of having a motorbike chase and a highway chase out of Midgar, like it's. And then suddenly you're opened into the world. So it's like the end of your tutorial, essentially, is this cool little mini game. But, so as much as I applaud them for doing it, and some of them are really cool moments, some of them, the controls are so clunky and so bad that it's just like,
I think the only one I
hate
really...
the submarine one.
Yeah, the submarine one wasn't great, but I think the one I hated the most was the, like, defending Fort Condor.
Fort Condor. Oh,
I really disliked that.
Yeah, I don't enjoy that at all. I don't enjoy it at all. This little like strategy game, and actually, you get to a point because when you play that Fort Condor sequence, it goes so slowly. Like, the enemies come up so slowly, and your guys attack so slowly that I remember the last time I played it, I went, I'm gonna put one enemy down, let them die, and let the enemies come up. Because if the enemies come up, your party just has to do one fight, and if they win, you've won. And I was like, that is way more satisfying.
Yeah.
Than trying to defend with these things that are even worse graphics than the polygons.
Yes, it's weird. Like,
it is weird. They have these weird, like, I don't understand what they're supposed to be. I don't know whether they're little battle robots or something. But like, when you're talking to the guy before you send them out,
people, aren't they?
I think so. He says, "We've got the troops ready. You tell us where to deploy them." So they're supposed to be just regular troops.
It's so weird that a bunch like this commander of this fort is like, "Oh, you random person, you'll be in command of us."
Yeah,
like,
you tell us.
Why would he?
It's like, why me? Because it's a video game. That's why. Shut the fuck up. That happens in all games. Like, you are the one. Yeah. But as well, the snowboarding one is another one that it goes on so long, and I don't like it at all.
I quite like the snowboarding one.
It's bizarre. It's like, all right, to get down this mountain. I don't mind that there's a snowboard sequence, but then there's these giant snowmen and these boulders.
Yeah.
And there's all these balloons.
Well, it's basically like it's a remake of that game that used to be on PC.
Which one's that?
Where you're like skiing down a hill and there's like giant snowballs that roll out, and you have to avoid the trees, and then every now and then there's like a yeti that runs out and eats you.
But the thing is, there's a timer on it, right? This is the weird thing about the snowboarding sequence. There's a timer on it.
Yeah.
And it's to let you know, like, how quickly you got through it all. Like, and every time you hit a tree, it takes about 10 seconds. I think
if you get down in a certain time, you can't do it again, though, don't you?
Yeah, but you can't do it again.
No, you can't. No.
And in a game like this, the only way to do it again is to replay the game. Like.
Yep. And it's like. It's a fair way into the game before you actually get the snowboard.
It's on disc 2. So it's out of 3 discs, and the third disc is only the last dungeon. So it's really the first 2 discs are like big chunks. Yeah. It's nuts. Did you like the mini games, Eric?
I don't really remember. Like, I don't really remember my experience when playing them. Okay. I only remember Chocobo Racing in Gold Saucer.
Oh yeah.
I kind of enjoyed that. I didn't think that was too bad.
Yeah, it's okay actually. Yeah, it's not too bad.
That one works okay. And then of course the main mini game of Midgar. You know, the most important one out of all of them, which I'm sure we'll discuss.
Squatting.
That one was squatting. The squatting one. I remember that one, and that's a bit like. As when I was younger, I didn't really understand any of that because, again, I probably wasn't reading.
This is why it definitely shouldn't be 7+.
No. That was a bit right over the head.
Okay.
That entire section, actually. The minute you enter,
let's use that as a segue, right? We're going to go into spoilers, right? But for the moment, again, I'm being very fair. For the moment, we're only doing spoilers for the Midgar section.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then we will open it up even further. So if anyone has played the remake already, you're probably already familiar with that. And if you've played even just some of the original, you've probably, like everyone, I think, has probably experienced Midgar at some point. So you might be okay for this section. So yeah, on the section you're on, Eric, Wall Market.
which is Wall Market.
One of the more controversial.
As a child, I didn't get that bit at all, and I don't think any child would.
Yeah,
but I don't understand that when you're an adult going like, yeah, they definitely didn't. No one played that game to say it was 7s plus, because
no,
I don't. That bit's a bit. It's pretty rough, like
that, or they were just like, kids won't get it. It'll be just like a funny thing that the adults get, like a Pixar movie.
But I think of a Pixar. That's like that shit into a fucking Disney movie, like for the adults.
So I suppose
come to this place where there's brothels.
If it sounds out of context, I suppose the scene we're talking about is Tifa, one of your party members, is in Don Corneo's mansion. He's like the Don of the slums, and she, as far as Cloud and Eretz are aware, she has been kind of taken hostage. So they're planning to go in and rescue, but the only way they can infiltrate and get in is that they'll only let women in, because Don Corneo is a misogynistic pig. So Earth has no problem getting in, she just needs to get a fancy dress. But Cloud, being a man, has to dress up as a woman to get into Don Corneo's mansion. And to do that involves doing a number of activities. So getting the dress is just a case of getting an old man to sew it up for you. But to get a wig, you have to go into a gym full of these big buff men and win a squatting competition so that big bro will pull the wig out of his ass and give it to Cloud. And then the gym trainer, who's like this little woman, punches big bro with an uppercut. You can then get further stuff by going into a place called the Honeybee Inn, which is like a brothel.
Yeah.
And then stuff happens, and it's not totally clear, but there's an insinuation that Cloud sleeps with some buff men.
Do what you gotta do.
Do what you gotta do when you gotta get in, when you gotta dress up as a girl. It's what we're saying. Like, there is some silly weird shit in this game. That segment doesn't like capture the tone or the overall plot of the game at all, but it is probably not
what we should have started on when we were starting to talk about the story.
It's like, and
come play Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah. It's my favorite game ever. You get a wig out of a man's ass. No, like, yeah. Let me clarify. That's not like that's not like one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah. Well, I think it's weird is that when I was younger, I was just like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, these are the tasks I have to do. I have to dress up as a woman to get into this location. I have to infiltrate. That's what I gotta do. Never, ever really taught anything of it.
I know, yeah.
It's only when you're older you kind of think, oh god, that seems kind of inappropriate. But as a young kid and we played it, it actually wasn't.
No, not at all. Yeah. Like, there was no point when I was playing it and going, this is a bit odd. Even though I should have. But yeah, older looking back, or if I play it now, I go, this is a bizarre choice. Like, why did they put this in the game? It's so weird.
Especially because
but it's supposed to be funny. It's comic relief, isn't it? Like, that's the idea.
Yeah.
However, it only works because they're polygons.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, like, I think if they looked lifelike, I just don't think you'd get away with all of that.
But like it also, yeah, it has to be for comedic relief, because Cloud spends like the first like hour or something of the Midgar section like slaying all kinds of robots and monsters with like more or less ease when you know how to play the game. So it makes no sense that he's like, oh no, there's a bunch of hoodlums in my way, I better go squat for a wig, rather than just like slice them all up just to save Tifa.
Yeah, no, it's definitely played for laughs. And there's even like this little, like, when you finally get into Don Corneo's mansion, there's this little comical piece of music that's playing. That's like, the whole segment is, as weird as it is, it's supposed, at the time, I suppose it was supposed to be for laughs. But it's a weird scene. There's a big moment it always stuck with me when I was younger, in the Midgar section. And it shows how evil Shinra are, and it kind of, shit gets real. And it's kind of soon after the whole Don Corneo thing. So you have your moment of let's do some lighthearted stuff, and then shit gets serious. So Shinra, Midgar is like this city with all these plates, and below the plates are the slums, and they drop one of the plates on top of the slums in an attempt to kill the heroes.
Yeah.
And then frame the heroes for doing it.
Yeah.
And so they kill like thousands of innocent people to just kill a couple of people. And it shows you how far they'll go, and that lives mean nothing to them. What, like, did that scene ever impact you guys, or?
I just thought it was just badass. Like, I loved it.
Fucking rad, man.
You know, like, if you really, really want to hate your villain, like, that's the kind of shit.
That's one way to do
it. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's James Bond level villainy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But it's not as camp though.
No, but it is like, it's great. Like that scene when the plate drops, and Cloud and Bart and Tifa are like swinging out of there.
Yeah.
The camera pans up to President Shinra with a cigar in his mouth, looking out the window, watching the disaster, and there's opera music playing in his office.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just like this.
Just another day in the office kind of shit.
Yeah. He's just like, oh, lovely, you know. And even afterwards, like, so one of the directors of Shinra, Reeve, talks about how they're going to try rebuild the slums, and President Shinra like says, we're not going to.
Yeah.
The people will trust us with our new plan, which is that they plan on building a whole new city eventually.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show they have a total disregard for
the only thing that I think it always kind of just brushes over is the fact that the people that were living on the upper plate, like, we always seem to kind of go, oh no, true, the people in the slums were crushed, but like the upper class as well.
Killed too.
They were killed during it as well.
So including some of Shinra's own employees and everything will all be dead.
But most of the upper class are Shinra employees, aren't they? Because the Shinra building is massive.
There's definitely an insinuation that they are mostly Shinra employees, because like Midgar is basically like a Shinra controlled city. Like, so even like the reactors need Shinra workers. There's soldiers. There's so much stuff that's literally just Shinra. So other than that, I suppose it's just shops and all that.
Really, really reinforces just how much of a bastard they all are. They're like, even our own employees will just drop like $50,000. We'll just get some new ones. Like,
I actually was sad when Biggs, Jesse, and Wedge died. Even though they don't talk to them much. Like, I cared about them. I was like, fuck you guys. Those are my friends. I'll fucking kill you.
I hurt you so bad, you're gonna wish I didn't hurt you so bad.
Yeah, you just wait a second, and I'm gonna come over there and we're gonna hurt you. But all of that stuff, the reason it works so well, and this is the other thing we're talking about in Midgar, it's all set up. Even Shinra doing that and showing off how evil Shinra are is all set up for the game's main villain.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Sefirot.
Mm-hmm.
He is the most poetic villain. Oh.
In the Midgar segment. So
ominously great.
Yes.
That's what it is.
They set him up narratively so well. So unbelievably well. So well, I just can't even go into.
There's a lot of intrigue. Like, I mean, they've done it like almost like an Agatha Christie kind of crime thing.
History.
Yeah.
You're just like you get a hint of this chap and you want to know more about him.
Yeah, and they keep bringing him up. So you get like a very early flashback. Cloud and Tifa's kids. Cloud tells Tifa, I'm going to be in Soldier. I'm going to be the best of the best, like Sephiroth. Right?
Yeah.
And then you meet President Shinra later on, and he's like, oh, you were in Soldier. Forgive me if I don't remember your name. I can't be expected to remember all of them unless you're another Sephiroth. And you just keep hearing Sephiroth's name popping up, but you don't know who he is. And you look into even, like we had on PS1, you look in the booklet, right? And
back in the day when there's booklets.
Yeah, back in the day. And there's there's characters and their profile beside them. And there's like a picture. So you have Cloud, you have the main party. So like you already know that as the game is going on, you're like, oh, someday I'm gonna meet him, and I'm gonna meet him, and oh, I wonder when they're gonna come into my party. And there's one of Sephiroth, but there's no picture.
Yeah.
They just have a bio. He's the only one without a picture. So even in the booklet, they're like, you don't know what he looks like. And his name just keeps cropping up. And then you finally get to the Shinra building. Your party gets kidnapped. As far as you're concerned, the Shinra are the bad guys all along. And then your cell door opens, and you're following these trails of blood.
It's another moment that's not Sevens Plus like.
Yeah, and there's this ominous, creepy music and weird enemies that you hadn't seen before popping out. And then you find President Shinra with a sword in his back. Cloud, who's been all cool and collected all along, says it's Sephiroth and says, we need to get out of here now. This shit has just got real.
This shit's hit the fan.
Pretty much. He goes like, we actually have to leave. Anyway, and Barrett's all talking about like Shinra, and Cloud's like, forget Shinra. They're not important right now. It's like, and suddenly you're like, well, what has Cloud so spooked? Like, what the fuck is going on? What's the story? And like, your main villain is killed, or who you thought is killed, and suddenly you're launched into this world of Sephiroth. So we're going to go beyond Midgar. Further spoilers.
Further spoilers.
So if you don't want to know anything that may happen in the remake series, you might not want to listen. But if you're very familiar with the game, then welcome aboard. Ain't no getting off this train we're on. So yeah, just continuing on from Sephiroth. I suppose one of the other things they do really well with him is when you finally see him for the first time in Cloud's flashback, where he tells the story of Nibelheim. It's the first time you see him. You get into this battle with this huge dragon. It one-shot kills you.
Yeah.
And through gameplay, they show you how powerful Sephiroth is.
Yeah, that's really good way of doing it.
Dragon out. And there's like this creepy heartbeat music.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, holy shit, like, who is this guy? Like, you know, I've heard so much about him, and oh, fuck me, like, he fucking whooped that dragon, right? He fucking whooped it. And then, like, as the flashback continues on, like, everything that you do, he not only, like, explains shit to you, but every time you're fighting someone, he's just like, whoop, whoop, whoop. Like, you don't even get a chance to attack.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'll just put my controller down then and watch and say, whoop! And then, you know, the music changes when he finally gets twisted. He goes crazy. Fucking burns Nibelheim down. Shit got real. You realize what you're up against. You're trying to go... sorry now, I'm going on for a while, but just all these things are just... they're setting up Sephiroth,
and then this happens, and then that happens.
Welcome to my summary. No, but you know, when you get to the marshes, you're trying to get through, and there's the giant fucking snake. This is the last thing I'm going to say on him.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And like, in fairness, the first time you try it yourself, don't you? Like, you go, fuck the chocobo. I'm just going to try run across. I don't want to try catch chocobo.
Yeah.
You fight the fucking snake, and it kicks the shit out of you. Like, you do not stand a chance. And even you go, maybe I'll grind for a bit and come back. Nah, it has a move where it, like, picks up one of your party members, throws him away. Gone. What you got? And you're like, well, shit. less people, I guess. So eventually you get your chocobo, you get through the marshes, and on the other side, the snake is now impaled on a tree. This enemy that you could not fight is impaled on a fucking tree. There's blood pouring down. There's lightning in the background. And they're like, did Sephiroth do this?
Yeah.
And that's what you're up against for the rest of the game.
I felt that, like, I don't know what went through Sephiroth's head though. Like, everything else he just kind of slashed with a sword, but for this one serpent, he was like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna put him on a tree. I'm gonna sharpen that tree and just impale him on it for the crack.
That's what's great about that imagery is like your imagination runs wild then.
Yeah.
Of like how did he do it?
And depending on who's with you, they all say different things. So like, I remember I nearly always have Red 13 with me. Who's one of the best characters in the game. But like, if you go over and talk to him, he's like, this is a power we should respect. He's like, this is like beyond our control. Like,
yeah. Well, Sephiroth is definitely up there with Darth Vader and Sauron as one of the like greatest villains in like pop culture
on screen,
any medium. Yeah. I think so, particularly in how he's portrayed in the original.
Yeah.
In that slow narrative build-up.
That again is another weird thing where when you're reading the text and obviously there's no voice, but when you do see him in the film Adventure, and you're like, oh, that's exactly what that's what he sounds like.
Sephiroth's just like that.
Yeah. You're like, that's exactly how I read his voice.
Yeah.
It's so fucking funny. But he
how did they do that again in my mind?
Have you a favorite Sephiroth moment?
Anytime he talks, he's just a poetic bastard.
And that creepy music comes on. I love his music.
Yeah,
I think
so
I do have a favorite moment. It's the burning of Nibelheim. That cutscene. I mean, it's so iconic. Like they use it as like if you look at wallpapers for him, or even in the remake, they use a lot of him surrounded by fire to kind of show his presence.
Yeah, and like there is a slight kind of there's kind of like a Christian metaphor wrapped around Sephiroth in that like the theme One-Winged Angel is often attached to him. There's this notion that he was once a hero. He was like this angelic figure. He was like a messianic savior as such that people looked up to. And then he falls from grace and suddenly you see him and he's surrounded by fire. So he's like gone to the depths of hell. He's become the devil. He's like fallen from the heavens, you know? It's just really cool visuals.
I always find that when I'm listening to his music as well, I'd almost imagine if the devil decided to walk the earth like that could be music he would use.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting imagery choice as well, just to give him one wing.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. He never had it in the game though. That's all added.
Yeah, he has like 6, which again actually
it's really weird. Yeah, when you hear the song One-Winged Angel, he's got like loads of fucking wings.
Yeah, but he just has one.
In the last fight, doesn't he?
Yeah. Well, no, not the last fight, but among the last fights. It's like it's actually his arm itself is like a kind of a wing.
Oh right, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and then he has all these white wings underneath him. Then yeah, that's right.
But that's like he does have like 6 wings for that fight, doesn't he? Which is kind of quite iconic of like the Catholic mythos of the Seraphim Order, which had 6 wings.
Oh, I don't know, but sure.
Yeah, it would be like so. It's down by his feet.
Yeah.
The like we've mentioned the Sephiroth in fire image is one of the more famous Final Fantasy. Oh Jesus! Sorry, I hit the table there. I reckon the mic probably shook. But it's one of the more famous Final Fantasy VII images. But another one, and probably the most iconic scene in the entire game that I feel we have to talk about it. Is Eretz death scene.
Oh.
The end of disc 1.
Yeah.
Oh.
What you guys make of it, or what you think of it?
How did Cloud stand there when Eretz sank to the bottom? What the fuck did Cloud stand on?
This has been brought up many times. Yeah.
And does he when you go back there? Does he swim down to the bottom to get the holy materia, or does it float to the top?
No, he does not go to get the holy materia. No,
that's done.
Okay.
That's done.
At
that point,
she summoned holy.
Yeah,
just before she died.
That's why she was praying at that moment, essentially.
Yeah,
and she was kind of off guard, and that's how she got stabbed.
Oh, I thought she was just more waiting for. Okay, I really didn't understand that scene.
Yeah, no, she successfully, like, you don't find it till later. She successfully summons holy, which is the only magic that can stop Meteor, which is the thing that Sephiroth has summoned to destroy the planet. But the thing is, because Sephiroth, big spoilers, like I'm sure, hopefully you've played the game at this point or you won't understand what the fuck I'm talking about. Because Sephiroth is his conscience is within the life stream of the planet, and he is manipulating the planet, he's not letting Holy out. And so they realize the only way to actually release Holy and save the planet from Meteor is we have to kill Sephiroth.
Yeah.
So it becomes the thing of the final battle is not about let's take revenge and kill Sephiroth. Like, killing Sephiroth will genuinely save the world. It becomes like there's
That's class. That's so fucking cool. He's like, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Sephiroth has become like a virus in the planet.
Yeah.
And he's like manipulating all these different people with just his mind.
Badass.
It is, yeah. It's pretty unreal. I love it.
It is
much.
Planetary virus.
My favorite thing about what they do at Eretz Death, apart from just the way they set it up, like they have like Cloud comes up, and no matter what button you push, it makes Cloud take out his sword.
Mm-hmm.
And then you push another button and he raises his sword.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, stop doing that. I don't want you to do that. What the fuck are you doing? Because Cloud has been like losing his mind a couple of times and like been out of your control. And then like you push another button, he's about to do it, and like the party all go, Cloud, stop, you know? And he realizes what he's doing, and you have a cutscene for a moment where he just looks at her and he's like, what the fuck? Yeah. And then because you didn't do it, Sephiroth just jumps in and kills her.
Yeah.
And heartbeat, and then her music happens, and it's just so good.
It's really you don't expect it as well. It's so like out of nowhere as well.
Well, I mean, she's set up to be kind of like, I know it can be between her and Tifa, but quite early on, like the game kind of does lean towards, like, she's sort of set up to be the love interest.
Yeah.
And also to be one of the main heroes of your party. Like, even though you can choose which party members to use, like, story-wise, Eretz is one of the kind of main characters of the game. And so to have her taken from you, and you're like, you could be like, I spent a long time leveling, like, you know, I had plans for her, and the game has just taken her away from me.
So Sephiroth one-shots everything.
I wonder, like, when they put her in the pond, did they, like, take her materia off her before it's like, whoa, wait, just before you
check her pockets. Check her pockets.
Check her pockets. Come on, guys, come on.
How much gil she have?
How much? Look, I'm not being insensitive. I'm just being practical here. She's got a fucking steel materia. She don't need that. Come on, we need that shit. But yeah, just and then after she dies and you have to fight Genova, they use Eretz music as the battle team. It's just amazing.
Badass.
It's amazing. And like you can just hear, like, it's really quiet music, and you can just hear the sounds of your sword whoosh, over this little beautiful music. And you're probably like, if it was your first time, like, you're probably crying your eyes out. Fuck you, while trying to do a fight, like, where Genova could kill you. It sucks though if you get a few game overs and you keep having to watch the scene.
Yeah. The game definitely, just that, I suppose, era of games was terrible for checkpoints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
And just the saving mechanic in that game was not great.
And
particular save points.
Yeah, to save.
Or even anywhere in the open world as well.
Do you know the way, like, you had a lot of, like, save slots as well? Yeah. Like, it made sense to actually use a few of those. So you were like, oh, like, I am not leveled high enough for this, so I need to go back to one of my other save slots when I was in a place where I could grind and come back to this shit, because, like, there's nowhere to grind here and I'm fucked, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that could happen. But, like, if you didn't know to do that, you've just, like, fucked the game over for yourself. And you're like, well, I better do all of this again.
That's even more torture than having to restart Elder Scrolls just because your character looks like a shit.
Yeah, very much so. We won't be able to talk about every single story aspect of the game or anything like that. Those moments are quite.
Want to?
Oh, I'd love to.
I'm sure we'll revisit this game.
But in general, because we can talk in detail about any of it now, we've opened it up to the spoilers. Have you a favorite part of the game?
Dio.
No, actually.
Flying saucer. Big butch tan fucker going around his song. Just another ridiculous sequence.
Saucer. The golden saucer. No, seriously, have you got, like, a favorite?
Any real moment where you actually get the find out about people's backstories. Really.
Yeah, like it's again probably the Nibelheim section for me.
Yeah,
it is a great moment.
Pretty iconic.
Just because you left Midgar, you want to find out more about Sephiroth, and that is the moment where you find out about him.
Yeah,
the canon sequence actually is really not like at the end of the game when one of the weapons.
Oh, they take the Junon
towards...
cannon, bring it to Midgar. That one.
Well, no, the first time they use the cannon though.
Oh right, yeah.
Is a great sequence.
Oh yeah, and you have when you escape as Tifa, you have the slap bitch fight with Scarlet.
Yeah.
Remember that?
That's gonna be so fucking cool in the remake.
Yeah. I saw someone did a video where they took that scene and they edited in like the battle music from Final Fantasy 13, and it goes so well. And it's like they're slapping each other. It's so fucking funny. It's well worth looking up. But I think my favorite scene in the entire game is the plot twist. When the plot twist is revealed, Cloud's backstory, his actual backstory.
Oh, yeah.
And when that happens, and the moment it happens, and you realize how fucking clever this game is, and that they played with the visuals, and they played with the fact that you're like, I just thought that was a random NPC.
Yeah.
Holy shit. And if you go back and play it, knowing that, the scenes actually have a different, you have a different understanding of the scenes. Like, you're actually, oh my god, it's so good. There's actually a video on YouTube that I would recommend people to watch if they know the twist, because don't ruin it on yourself. It's by a guy called Resonant Arc. I think there's two guys in it, but they do all these like video essays and stuff, and they're done really well. But they do a video called the Magic of Final Fantasy VII's Plot Twists. And they set it up, and they actually compare it to a movie called The Prestige, right? And to magic tricks in general. And they said there's 3 acts to a great magic trick. And if you don't set up the trick, you will have no payoff. And they use other films as an example where it doesn't work. For example, Now You See Me, another movie about magic, where the plot twist happens and it means nothing to you because they didn't set it up at all and they didn't earn it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you set up a plot twist perfectly, where you didn't see it coming, but when it happens, there is no other explanation. You are like, that is so good. It's a video well worth watching. Not even just for Final Fantasy VII's plot twist and how well it's set up, but just for plot twists in general and how important they are in narratives. But that moment gets me every time. It's one of the best plot twists in a video game. It's so good. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. Enough said.
Sure.
I won't say what it is, actually.
But I do love, that Final Fantasy VII is just full of that kind of stuff, right? Where it's like, again, the way the game opens up, what you're there to achieve is kind of insignificant, but also plays a major role in the greater scheme of things. But just the cover art alone, like this meteorite. Yeah, you go through so much of that game, and the cover has no significance to you, and then it's revealed as to that becomes a major point in what you're trying to stop, and now the cover art makes sense. Yeah. But I don't really recall another Final Fantasy that has that moment for me. You know, when you're looking at the cover art.
They don't always use the right thing for their cover, I don't think. Some of them do, but
Tens is very good, I think.
Tens is good.
Tens is okay. It could have been better.
It's a nice artwork. It's again,
nice artwork, and it does fit in with the whole story and point of the game.
Yeah, the artwork for that means nothing until you play it.
Yeah,
and you see that scene, and you realize the significance now of the artwork. Same with the meteor. And you hear nothing about a meteor and then when it comes in and you realize, Jesus, this is...
Yeah, but unlike 7, 10, you're still very clear that that's Yuna on the cover. So even without playing the game, you still have a good sense that this is one of the characters. That meteor is what? What does this got to do anything?
And yet, when the title comes up and it just like the meteor flies in and then the title, and it's just so, oh man, I love this game. It's not only my favorite game of all time, it's actually my favorite piece of fiction. Like, ever.
Madness.
I just absolutely adore it. And it's just because of the way it's told. Like, the way they set up the narrative, the way it's told. Do you guys even remember, like, Barrett's backstory? Yeah. And then when he meets his friend Dine, who's like Marlene's biological father, yeah. And he wants to, he actually says, he's like, I want to find Marlene so I can kill her and take her home to her mother.
Yeah.
He wants to kill himself as well. And you're like, this is fucked up. This is so twisted. And like even Barrett says that, it was like, man, you fucked up.
That's exactly how he said it.
Yeah, I love that they, like, there's loads of cursing in it, but it's all censored. But like, you can read it, you know.
Yeah.
Like there's when you go into the Shinra building and you see the like Genova is in this tub, and Cloud sees her, freaks out, and he was like, "Oh my god, are you okay? They brought it here?" And Barrett's like, "What's going on?" And he goes out and I'm like, "Where's his fucking head?" He's like, and then later on, like when they're talking about that Genova broke out of the building or whatever, Barrett again goes, "You mean that fucking headless spook from the Shinra building?"
Yeah.
He's just great. He has a great way of looking at things. But anyway, what I was saying about Barrett, he has a great arc. Now that I can talk about it.
Go on,
because when they're on the high wind at the end, he actually says, he starts criticizing Katsit for betraying them.
Yeah.
And then Katsit, because Katsit is actually controlled by Reeve from Shinra. And Katsit says back to Barrett, you killed lots of innocent people to do what you had to do. And like they have like a bit of a row about it. And later on then Barrett says, I know what I did was wrong. And maybe if I didn't do it, Jesse Biggs and Wedge would still be alive and all this. Like he acknowledges and he owns up to sort of his past sins.
Yeah.
I thought that worked really well. Like through his journey, he becomes less and less, like at the start he's really angry and really bitter and purely about vengeance. Towards the end, he's kind of a changed man and realizes, you know what, I need to do this for Marlene. I need to save the planet for Marlene and not for my own vengeance, not for my own.
Yeah, no, like
all that works.
I just think in comparison to every other character in the game, like he doesn't really have much of a journey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everyone else's is like, even their backstories. Like I find Barrett's backstory is not really his; it's Marlene's.
In a way, yeah.
You know, it's a much more interesting story for her. He's just kind of her guardian now.
I like the idea that Marlene is so young and innocent that she doesn't even, like, she doesn't for a second think Barrett's not her father, even though there's a very obvious
yeah, like she doesn't have a gun in her hand, like.
Yeah, you know what I mean. There's an obvious a lack of resemblance. Yeah. Daddy, where's my gun? You'll get one day, honey. When you're big and strong.
Eat your greens.
Yeah, eat your greens.
Eat your... But it's mad that I think one of the most like important story arcs is missable, and that's the Lucretia one.
Yeah, and Vincent. Vincent in general.
Yeah, just Vincent altogether.
Like
he's such a cool
Well,
character.
actually, I find it weird that both Vincent and Yuffie are missable. Like I know Vincent is more important than Yuffie, but Yuffie is your doorway to Wutai, and to finding out about, like, Wutai had this big war with Shinra. So the two of them are very important characters in the lore.
Yeah, I really hope that in the next few chapters of the remake that they're not missable, that they make them.
They absolutely won't be missable.
Yeah.
There's not a hope. Like, they just won't be. They just won't be in it. There's no time.
Could you imagine someone, though, who like, let's say, played the original, right? Never got Yuffie and Vincent, right? Cleared the whole game, never got them. Saw there was a movie of it, adventure, went, oh, class, watch that, and then saw Yuffie and Vincent. That person would have been so fucking confused. They're like, who the fuck are these two?
Quick Google search, I think, would solve all their problems.
What the fuck? Yeah, well, that's the thing as well, isn't it? I suppose, like, that's another thing for, like, the remake series. I suppose anyone can just Google what's going to happen if they're too impatient. You know,
also,
just look up what's going to happen.
I wonder if they're going to have phones in the Like, you know, the whole like
PHS system.
Yeah. And like, if they do have that, is Vincent gonna have a phone, or like, are you gonna have to like use a carrier pigeon?
No, he'll have to. They'll have to have that. But no, I don't know if they're going to do it in the remake. But if they do that system, everyone will have to have one, because that's just how they've swapped out. I don't know if they'll do that though, because then what's like if you're on like a big open map in a realistic setting, you're gonna have like a character run in and another character run away. Like,
yeah, no, I think they're going to they're either all going to be with you, or they're just going to select the characters that you're going to have at that moment.
Yeah, like I think the narrative will decide for you who's with you and when, and like split up the party that way. Probably. I don't know. I don't want to speculate about the remake.
Neither do I.
You just want us.
I just want to play it. Is there anything, before we finish up, is there anything on the original Final Fantasy VII that you really don't like, or something that really stood out, something that you dislike about the game?
The not clear direction of where I'm supposed to go. That was quite irritable when playing the original. Yeah,
there is this kind of just weird lack of direction in that. There's a point where the plot or the objective is that you just go to the next town and activate something.
Yeah, like I remember.
It's not even clear why you're going there.
Yeah, I just go to random places, random things happen. I kept doing things in like different orders and stuff. I went to like the Golden Saucer like 5 times. And I was like, am I supposed to be here? Where am I supposed to go? What is going on?
And why did Sephiroth come to a theme park?
Yes. How did no one notice?
Yeah. No, yeah. I would kind of agree with that, in that they don't kind of clarify what exactly the aim of the party is, other than to explore the world, look for Sephiroth, which essentially is what it is. Like, they're just going town to town looking for Sephiroth. But what it means is that some of the party members end up joining you, and like when Katsa joins you, it is actually bullshit. Like, there's no, like, he just says, well, I'm coming with you. And they just
okay.
They just let him. Like, so it's like, yeah, anyone can come. Like, this is a really dangerous operation they're on, I suppose. And like, some of the other characters have earned their right to be there. Like, I love that Red 13 says, I will travel with you as far as Cosmo Canyon. But that's it. So he's like, I'll travel with you until I get home. But I'm just going home. I'm not actually in on this. And then when he's at Cosmo Canyon, he has like this revelation and this moment, like sort of an awakening, when he learns what happened to his father. And it changes him, and he goes, okay, I will come with you. And it's just a really great, it's a great character moment.
Yeah. I can't think of anything that really annoys me. Oh yeah, actually, this is kind of an annoyance with Final Fantasy games in general. Actually,
okay, yeah,
it's generally the last few fights always annoy me, because you struggle to defeat said person.
Yeah,
and then, oh wait, they've got a new, more powerful mode. But before them, you're also fighting something else, right?
Yeah,
and you don't have a moment to kind of get your shit together. You know,
like
you need to make sure that you're well equipped, and it doesn't tell you. You know, and if you're down there, you're down there.
Yeah, I'm gonna sound a bit lame now, but like, as much as I love Final Fantasy X, and I've seen the ending, but only because I looked it up, I have never gotten past Unaleska. I cannot beat her. I can't beat her. For the life of me, I keep trying, and then as soon as you get there, like, if you haven't got extra saves and stuff, like, because there's a boss fight just before her, which is tricky enough.
Yeah.
And to survive that means using a lot of your overdrives or your summons, and then once you've done that, there's no space in between to build them up again or to start grinding again.
Yeah.
And then you're straight into Unaleska, and she's 3 stages, and like, I always get her to the 3rd stage, and then she fucks me up. So I get what you're saying. Like, later on in Final Fantasy games, you do come across these sections where it's like, if you didn't grind it earlier, and there's often not an indication. Like in the earlier games, they don't indicate to you that you should get ready, because this shit's about to go down and there's no turning back.
Like
they did it with 15.
If it was
kind of let you know.
Yeah, if it was made today, I think what they would do is say, like kind of. I'm trying to think if there's another game that does it where it's like, here's your objective, here's the requirements you need to be even nearly ready to complete that objective. Yeah, and I'd imagine it would say things like, "Oh, beat Ultimate Weapon," things like that. Like, you have to do these things. There's a checklist of things you have to do in order to prepare yourself, and it makes a good objective as well for the party, because you're kind of thinking, why would they do all this side quest stuff, right? If this is the big threat, they need to go solve this. Well, for the party's sake, it would be, well, if we don't do this, we're not prepared. If we can't take out these weapons, how could we possibly take out Sephiroth?
Yeah. It's a good point.
So it would make like a good reason for why they're doing those things.
Yeah.
And they get fucking badass gear as well.
They do, yeah. But it's, well, yeah, and like the only I would agree with maybe both those points. Like, they're the only kind of annoying, and just some of the mini games, like just how clunky they are. Those are kind of the only things I dislike about the game. Sometimes there's like a lack of direction or point in what you're doing, or seems like there is.
Yeah.
And then there's also just some of the, like, I appreciate that they put in the mini games, but some of they don't play well. Like the submarine drove me crazy, and you have to do it at one point, and you're like, I just want this to be over. Like, I just want to fucking kill the thing and get out of here so I can do the stuff I enjoy again.
Yeah.
But other than that, the game is a masterpiece, like iconic masterpiece, and I think it's well worth playing if you're into video games. I would recommend it to anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just try it. I know it's hard. You'll see the polygons. You'll go, oh, this looks shit. Try it. Just try it.
Well, I think it's a lot easier to get into now, though, with, you know, the console versions, PC version, and phone versions.
Yeah, even just for the narrative, because you can do, like the new version you can like max up your characters, or you can use like cheat. They have these like built-in cheats that if you're not into the gameplay, if that's not for you, you can like turn off random encounters, and you can give yourself max stats.
Yeah. So
that you can one-hit kill every enemy, and you can just rush through the narrative if you just want experience, because the narrative is like the heart of the game, really, and it's done so well.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are our kind of general thoughts on the original Final Fantasy VII. I will say it's kind of weird if you watch Advent Children, the movie. It kind of spoils the ending of the game in a way.
It does.
Yeah.
Because the game... kind of. It just does.
Yeah, the game ends on this cliffhanger.
And then, did they survive kind of thing?
Yeah, the original game ends in such a way that, and by the end of it, it becomes very clear that Red 13 survived.
Yeah, and but I think you can
so
make
has
the
planet.
Yeah, I think you can make the assumption that they all did then.
Well, yeah, well, it's a very impactful, powerful ending, especially because at the very last shot you get a quick glimpse of Eretz again, and then it just goes back to the music from the start. And it's a really good ending. And then actually the Red 13 is like an end credit scene.
Yeah.
But Advent Children like straight away says like, no, all humans survived that. But either way, yeah, if you enjoy the lore, it's a good watch.
Yeah.
And yeah, that concludes our talk for this episode. Because we discussed my favorite game, naturally, progressive wise, I think we should talk about your favorites in the next follow-up episodes.
Okay.
So we won't say what they are yet, but in the next episode, either Eric or Adam will introduce their favorite game, and we will all discuss that in great detail. And that'll be kind of our next topic for the next few episodes until we move on to other things. So thank you all for listening. If you have played Final Fantasy VII, please let us know your thoughts on it. Please let us know your favorite moments or things you didn't like, any kind of feedback at all. For the future, if there's games you'd like us to go into great discussion about, let us know that too. And then also, if you have played the remake, without doing any spoilers, just let us know kind of your thoughts on the remake. We've all been playing it. We will talk about it in the future, but we'd love to hear how the world is receiving it. And that concludes this episode. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.